All right, let's get into the subsurfacing within all men. Trump told us that the fentanyl was compared to a weapon of mass destruction. This is part of those silent bombs we've been told about in the so-called truther community that they have designed to take out entire cities and leave the infrastructure of the city. So what we are going to be seeing as the Poseidon has the trident in hand, and that's the Zelensky guy who wears it on his heart and such, and he wears the black, and that black is your oil, and all these things going together. Okay, so as this underworld is coming up and surfacing, the subsurfacing, the subversion, we're already the aliens on Earth as man. We're just the alien species known as human beings, what we call ourselves or whatever. But according to out there, we would be aliens or whatever. So these higher light sources, so-called, that we see in the sky, or the shadows that we see in our bedrooms at night as a child, and these things can be tying into different spiritual components as we have light and dark coming together in the darkness, and the rulers of darkness control this earth and this visible spectrum and all these things. So this is where the underworld, the shadow beings, are coming up through the system that's placed upon the earth. And this is where your petrol is being used for gas, for your incarnation of Christ, and that conscious put upon the earth and that spectrum. And then you have your petrochemicals, your the stuff you're eating as far as artificial flavorings, colorings, those types of things in your food and drinks, and then the so-called plastics and all the nanoparticles that are put into your food through energetic means in one way, shape, or form. So as all this is being consumed, the underworld is coming up through the people. And this is where that serpent is showed to you on that hospital, and that lab coat comes in. You're a test subject right now, and as you're a test subject, the secrets of Nim and all those things will start coming into perspective as the dragon and the crow and all those things are brought before you in this cartoon. All right, so and you're tuned in everywhere to this spectrum from day one pretty much, and you've never gone out into the desert. So as it's taking you out into the desert, in a way, the dessert, that can of candida is going to be opened up, and you're going to be giving birth in one way, shape, or form as the so-called Jesus was thrown into the vial of excrement. All right, so the things that's been going on all over in our world, the 80-20 rule, all those kinds of things. So if you're buying into like 80% of this projection, which is where it tells you everyone is given over to the delusion except for the elect, and that includes the church, is given over to the delusion. And there's a Church of America, and this nationalism has taken over. There's a church of so-called Jesus Christ, and he warns you in end times there will be many teaching I am Christ. And Paul has gone with Peter, who is called Satan, for calling Jesus Christ, and they have axed the head of Jesus, as Paul was a Pharisee, and he has taken the light of Jesus and he has changed the gospel and he has made it his own gospel where he saves the people. So he ain't saving nothing. You know, what year did hell go from being cold to hot? So this hot underworld, this magma, this MAGA, this corona in your earth, this dark sun, all these things that we're told are all gonna shine within each man. And we can see these things transition in our world where they're taken from you in one way, shape, or form. It's been covered in one way, shape, or form, and then it's going to be taken from you, and you got to go into the thing. But that's where the cash is king, and all these things are going to make you fester and explode and all, get that aneurysm and whatever else is going to go on. this heartbeat of the earth, the king, the petro global world order. That is the so-called new world order that everybody's being scared about, that they're already inside of. And that's part of that subversion that's already taken place. And that's where you have the so-called dawn of time coming in to rescue those who have the eyes and ears to put together on what's going on. And that's where you got Dave Chappelle mentioning on his new thing, 1910. It goes back to 1910. I told you 1910, 1911 is your time when your Hollywood came, your Fed, then your round ball Earth came, and then your so-called NASA came decades later, and the moon landing and all these things. And talk to some old people today, well, we didn't believe the moon landing then or whatever. It's TV. It's television and such. It's entertainment. It's not real. So when this 24-hour news came out, they had to start filling in this 24-hour news. And the news works in a negative light as far as we don't really think of these ideas necessarily to go like kidnap a kid or murder this person or break into a house or whatever kind of thing, right? Because most men are just living peaceably with all people, and they're not getting fed these ideas of Hollywood of going and throwing grenade on people and blowing them up and watching them. Now we got them like chopping people up and filleting them and all kinds of shit or whatever. I mean, what is it preparing you for the future? Well, it's because all your fucking light has been taken out, and that's how you're going to be living. You're going to be eating your neighbor because you're going to come down to rations and all these other things. And what? Evolution, the rise of the top of the mound and all these other things as you're in that Noah's flood in a way. And the waters are overtaking you, and you're trying to get onto, you climb on top of everybody to get to the top of that mountain. That's where you're at, capitalism. That's where Chappelle is saying, with the capitalism or whatever, it's turned its back on other men, and that's not what it's about. And it's taking you into a time of control, and that's where you have this underworld coming in and trying to take control, and it already has. And this is where the serpent has already bit people, and the aliens upon the earth. We can probably see, I've already heard it in the salon chair actually, but the women's hair is falling out, it's getting thin, and other things are going on. So give me time when that Wuhan, that Wujan, Han, Enter the Dragon, the different hands, all those different hands, you're going to start piercing yourself as you become that Wolverine, that wolf, as the king reigns you. And that adamantium, the adamantium steel is placed upon your skeleton as the skull and bones, and all these things are playing out for your 6-7 next year. And your 6-7 is your 2026, 2027. Polo 67, the Bolo. So it's pretty much done. And this Israel and the genetic splicing and all these things have kind of already taken place, and some of us have stepped out of there and looked at this or whatever, and everybody's a part of this in the world in one way, shape, or form. So it's where you have this 80-20 rule, and the 80 is going to peter out and whatever, and those kinds of things, and we're going to rebuild the earth, and just like it told you on the Georgia Guide. So all these things are there to tell y'all stuff, because you had this going on over one time when the corona stuff was going on, and then the monoliths put here everywhere, and the monoliths here between the first 2 interstellar visitors, and now we got the 3rd interstellar visitor during the blue Kachina, and all that stuff for the the Hopi prophecy. And the Hopi prophecy goes back to the New Hope, which is part of your Star Wars, which is upon you now. So all these things are playing out as your Skywalker is there, and the Zelensky and Trump being put into the sky, and the second coming of the Lord put into the clouds, and that cloud is put upon the earth, and he's from the Mary McLeod line and the Frederick Christ. And then this Danish, that Danish everybody eats or whatever, this King Frederick X. And we're in that Fred time frame, and it ties to your Sambos and the bows, that Musk, that BO, and that bow for the white horse rider being drawn back, and all those other things. So your 1910 also that Dave Chappelle mentioned in his thing. If you take months and days or whatever and play with the clock, you can get 19 months and 10 days from Trump's presidency, 120. Counting, you're not counting the starting day because he started at that high noon kind of time frame, but this takes you to August 29th/30th. So next year, and that's kind of that October surprise, and the August is the October, and being the 8th and whatever on these little crossovers of time. But either way, folks, we'll end it here.